one of the prison cells by all these scary-looking leg irons. How did you come to be involved in Oxford Unlocked?
Well, I started initially back in May, just before the whole attraction opened. There was a small team of us then, and we just worked really hard for a couple of days, getting everything ready, and then the site was pretty much ready to go. So it's been all go ever since, really.
Now, obviously, there's been a visitor attraction here for a long time. So what was the thinking behind this new wave?
Well, really, I mean, the prison wasn't open to the public at all. I mean, the site was used as a prison until 1996, and then for 10 years after that it was used for filming and for a few other things. It wasn't until last year, 2006, that the sort of whole site opened up, the restaurants and things, the hotel, and then finally unlocked in the June of last year.
Yeah, you're very much a part of this kind of reshaping of the centre of Oxford, which must be great. You know, the castle complex is very snazzy.
Absolutely. I think it's really nice just to sort of focus a little bit on the west end of Oxford and really see that developing, because it's great. The buildings down here are just amazing and the history is incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's steeped in history. You had so much to play with. Are you pleased with how it's all turned out?
I think it's fantastic. It really shows the people, I think, just how much history there is here. It dates back a good 1,000 years, right back to the Saxon times, right through to 96 when the prison closed. So there's a good 1,000 years of history here that encompasses everything, it seems.
So what's your personal favourite part of the attraction?
Oh, I think my favourite bit, it seems to change quite a lot. I do love the view from the top of the tower. I think a lot of people don't realise just how great a view you get of Oxfordshire. I also think the crypt as well is hidden away. Nobody's really aware of that. It's under your feet when you're sort of outside. You don't know it exists, and it's a brilliant part of Oxford's history.
So obviously it's really interesting if you're into your history or into your old buildings, but what about for kids? Is there anything for them?
I don't think so. We get loads of children through and they really love, especially the interactives upstairs. We have a mugshot screen where they can take their own pictures there, and they can have a go at the treadwheel and some of the original prisoner sort of things that they can get involved in. We also have a number of workshops that take place for school children, quite a varied education programme, and again that goes down really well.
And it's quite a haunted place as well, so I guess that's quite exciting.
It certainly is. We've done a number of overnight ghost hunts, and it's really interesting what we're finding. There certainly seem to be quite a number of characters here, and it's proving quite popular.
Have you ever seen one?
I haven't, but some members of the staff certainly have seen a few odd things, and there's often weird noises at the end of the day, definitely.
Brilliant. So apart from the weird noises, what would you hope that people take away from them after coming to London Castle?
I think just to take away the fact that Oxford existed as a Saxon city before the university. There's absolutely loads of history here on this site. There's stories ranging right back from 1071 when the castle was established, right through the Civil War, the Georgian times, right through to the present day. And it's just seeing another side of Oxford really that's been hidden away, and it's a really fascinating side.
And you're hoping you'll be here for the next 1,000 years?
Let's hope so, definitely.
Okay, so it's not exactly the perfect weather conditions today, but it's still an absolutely amazing view.
And what you've got to remember is that 9.5 centuries ago, this would have been one hell of a lookout point. Yeah. Because forget the dreaming spires and the buildings that you can see in that direction, they wouldn't have been there. And there wouldn't have been nearly as many trees as you see now. Because Oxford, as you know, is built right in the basin of the Thames Valley, very marshy, very prone to flooding, so you wouldn't have had the trees breaking the views up.
Perfect lookout, yeah. Awesome. Wow.
From here you can look into the town and right the way out to the countryside as well, so you can really get a feel of what it was probably like 950 years ago when there were a couple of sentries stood up here freezing like our poor friend here is now, you know.
Absolutely.
But,
yeah, it's a brilliant vantage point. I think whether you're a tourist at Oxford, you've not seen it before, it's a great way to get a gauge.
Yeah.
But if you do know the area, it's a complete bird's eye view, isn't it?
I mean, local people have come up here that have looked at this tower all their lives, and then once they get up here, they just can't believe that they're seeing the city, you know, the same city, because you're seeing it from a totally different angle and perspective, of course.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I think we're getting a bit wet, so should we
bit,
duck down?
Do for me.
Okay, so we've come into the dry again now, come down from the tower.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the castle wasn't just a castle, it was a prison as well, and we've come into D wing, haven't we?
Yeah, we've come into D wing of the prison, and this was the first wing that was built as a prison, as against the castle. This was built in 1795 by the then governor of the prison. He used prisoners to build it. He also used prisoners to build the Oxford Canal and things like that. I won't delve into too much again once more, but it was prisoners that built this wing of the prison, D wing of the prison. And if you come on a visit to Oxford Castle, it's this wing where we display all our various stories and bits of history, the murderers, the way people, the gory details and all that along this wing above our heads as well upstairs. And it goes right from the Civil War of 1640 right the way through to 2006 when the Victorian prison became the Mole Mason Hotel that we know today.
Brilliant. Yeah, there were so many nefarious characters here, and steeped in stories. You've got to come along and find out all the dodgy going on.
The mound itself is haunted, you see, by one of the characters that you learn about if you come and visit here. And she has been seen, apparently, this particular lady on the mound, by one of the Oxford tour guides one night.
Oh, so you might be next.
It might be a very reputable source, yeah. But it's all here, it's all told, and it's all done also on an audio-visual machine, so that you can watch your machine, read it, and see everything that's displayed at the same time as well.
And you can almost smell the history here, can't you? It's sort of got this damp, musty smell to it.
If we go down to the crypt, you will say that to me, you'll say, God, this is not nice. Really, honestly.
Wow, sort of dank, maybe.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Well, should we take a wander through and have a bit of a look?
What, down the wing? Yeah, okay. It's split up really in periods of history. It starts at the Civil War and the Stronghold. Charles I had his court here at Christ Church, and this castle, Oxford Castle, was used as a prison for parliamentarian prisoners, and it was one of the most notorious prisons in England. But you did not want to come here. This is the place you shied away from.
Oh, really?
And all the way down this corridor, as you can see in the cells, you've got various historical characters, what they did, how they did it, to whom they did it, all displayed here, right the way down, and carry on to the end. And then we've got the above our heads as well, including over here the lady that survived her own hanging. Very lucky, because I'll tell you this, about 3 months later, another lady survived her own hanging, but she was sent back for a second dose.
Oh, not so lucky, yeah. Got some new lives in store.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a really stringent regime, wasn't it? You can really imagine how the lives would have been played out.
Oh yes, absolutely, totalitarian. The governor of the prison in those days wasn't paid a salary. He wasn't paid wages. He earned his living from the money that the prisoners could give him for the services that he could provide, like food and water, clean clothing. And if you couldn't pay, you didn't get, and you died. There was no welfare state, there was no right of appeal. If you could not pay the governor, you died. And at the time of the Civil War, where you died, you stayed. So the living were living on top of the fallen dead, within their cells and within their rooms, their makeshift prison.
You can only imagine what it must have smelled like in this prison.
There is a man that tells the story. He tells it rather graphically, and it is too graphic really for modern day taste. You have to tone it down a little bit to tell it.
Oh, and we thought life was bad nowadays.
No.
So we've been to the top of the tower, now we're in the prison. Now I suspect there's more beneath our feet, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. There's an 11th century crypt. It was the crypt of St George's Chapel, the chapel that served the castle when it was first built. The chapel and the crypt were built in 1074. It's still there. If you'd like to go down and have a look, we can have a look.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go.
Yeah, but be careful. There is the ghost of a Norman soldier who is said to haunt the crypt. Whether or not he's about at the moment, who knows?
Will you protect me if he turns up?
Oh, I think it might be the other way around.
I'm ready. Let's go.